Hello there. So yesterday I did the duality of Talin video where I talked about the different mixed impressions or opinions about this unit, and in today's video I'm going to showcase the best team or the highest damage team with our dear Talin over here, and it is with Skyclops. So I predicted Talin to be really good for Skyclops because of her AoE potential. So I guess my friend tested it ahead of time over here. GG Guo Wang, 44 billion damage with Talin in the team. Although comparing his team to the other teams on the list over here, he is quite high level, right? He's 700 over levels with the artifact at level 24, so a little bit more stats, but this is the damage distribution. So Talin is doing close amounts of damage to our dear Merrily, which is quite good for her considering the fact that there's actually greater resistance against magical damage compared to true damage in the endless mode. So this is the formation that he used. Okay, so later on I will be taking the exact same formation and using my another friend's account to test out whether or not this comp is strong enough to be called the strongest comp. Okay, so we have two teams right now. This is the no Scalita team where I introduced the lineup already. Merrily, right? Smokey, Scalita, our dear Rainer, as well as Fresto. That is talked about in my Z Endgame meta team already. So let's say if you don't have these units, then a downgrade is somewhere along like this, right? Or like this. If you don't have Fresto and Scalita, you use this one. You can also use Kruger as another downgrade. So these are the few alternatives. I already mentioned them in the previous video, but for today's video we are going to see how she functions here, and we're gonna test it out ourselves with a weaker account. Okay, so this is GG Guowang's replay going at 3 times. So right here, right, the reason why I said that she would be meta is because of her ability to spam the ultimate and quickly remove the summons. So yes, Scalita can do the same thing as her. In a sense, Scalita can come down and then use her ultimate to kill the minions as fast as possible. But at the same time, the issue with Scalita is Scalita can be relatively unstable, because Scalita basically runs around and she's actually a warrior unit and she doesn't really have a fixed position. So that's where I think Scalita sort of pales in comparison. She's a lot less stable, but there is a possibility if the RNG is in your favor, Scalita would definitely do more damage. Another strength that Talin can provide for this team is her revive ability. So in case you guys haven't realized just now, because he's able to position the Smokey in the front line, he's able to provide the Pyre of Renewal buff on him, and because his Talin is EX15 over here, the Smokey was able to revive even though he was drawing aggro, even though he was taking massive damage, and even though he died towards the 40 billion mark. So I'm going to go at 3 times once again and then showcase the part where Smokey dies. So right now we are 20 billion, 30 billion. We are building up damage on the boss. So the boss is hitting a lot harder. But the heals from Smokey alone was enough to keep our dear Talin alive and spam her ultimate, as you guys can see. So the boss's damage is increasing all the way to 40 billion. That's where the boss is going to hit a lot harder. So this is where the boss uses a laser, 38 billion. Pump. So very, very low HP. And then, oh wait, Smokey died, right? So right here, Smokey actually died. But Talin's ability allows Smokey to come back to life, to continue the healing, to continue the buff. So when the boss uses the laser, or when the boss is in the laser downtime, right, Smokey is able to heal up the team and then provide that attack buff that he's able to provide for a longer period of time to do this amount of damage. So this is from GG Guowang's point of view. I will now switch over to another account using a Supreme Plus Talin to test out whether or not this comp actually works. So without further ado, let's go to the other account. Okay, so we are on another account with Talin at Supreme Plus EX15. And some of you guys might ask, will Talin work in Skyclops if you don't have EX15? The answer is yes, right? The revival ability is a good to have, but it's not necessarily a must-have. But let's say if you are looking at the Endless boss itself, I've always mentioned you need your strongest units. So minimally, I'll say you need the EX weapon to be able to let Talin survive longer in the Endless Dream Realm boss. So that's for the Endless side of things, but you can definitely still use her pre-Endless mode because her role is that of Skalita's role, which is to remove the summons ASAP. But Skalita has the added benefit of buffing your team at the same time. So these are the top damage ranges, as you guys can see. So you can obviously use this Kruger lineup to get this 3-2. So you're getting 40 build with this, pretty decent, right? You also can use Coco as well if you do have Reina, so you guys can see 36 build. So the damage numbers will gradually go down, but these are viable substitutes, right? Kruger is viable, Torrent is viable, Termasia is here as well. So these are all viable units to replace the top tier units that you might not have, right? So that is for the substitutes portion. So for Talin, let's test out whether or not she's a meta unit with this account, right? Because with the other friend's account, it could be because he has a lot of stats, right? So let's do it. I think the arrangement is like this and like this. I think damage reduction should be on Merrily because we need to keep her alive, but at the same time, okay, I'll go with energy regen on Merrily and see whether or not it's more damage. So what I want to test here is can we achieve similar results with this account with lower tiers as well as weaker levels and artifact itself. So maybe Talin could hit 44 billion, but you need more stats. So it's dependent on the stats issue, whether or not you can survive. So as you guys can see over here, Talin is not dying because of the damage reduction. But at the same time, because Merrily doesn't have the damage reduction, I'm actually afraid that Merrily will just die to the laser. So that's one thing which I'm very scared towards the last 20 seconds. So the last 20 seconds is what matters the most in terms of min-maxing damage. So we passed that last 20 seconds, right? Our dear Smokey didn't die. So we are doing pretty well. 39 billion. Are we breaking our own record? Nope, unfortunately, no. We are doing 39.5 build. Okay. So this is the damage distribution. Actually, comparing this to my friend earlier, I think the damage distribution is pretty close. So Talin is actually a pretty decent damage dealer for this boss. So let's say if you don't have Merrily train up, you can definitely use Talin. And if you have both of them together, I do think you can run both of them together. Right? Can we replace Fresto? To be honest, Fresto is really very, very good for Endless Dream Realm. Because energy regen and the reduction on one unit keeps them healthy. The energy regen allows like one unit to spam their skill to do even more damage. So I'm gonna do 2 more runs to just experiment with things. So oh wait, we got to swap out the positions for Talin as well as Merrily over here. So just now it was energy regen, now we give reduction to Merrily, although Merrily was lucky to have survived just now. Okay, burn, burn, burn. This time around, actually no, energy regen might not be that good for Talin, because right here she's not like burning energy at this point. When she's using her ultimate, energy regen is quite useless. So energy regen might be just a lot better on Merrily, although she might not survive as well because she lacks the damage reduction. Okay, burn, 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 do damage. Okay. And right here, without the damage reduction, she actually died, and that stopped her damage output because she wasn't using her ultimate, unfortunately. So I guess if you want to run the comp that GG Guan ran, you need to give energy regen to Merrily, and you need to give damage reduction to Talin, okay? So that's for the conclusion that we draw. So still roughly same distribution, but Talin was doing lesser and Merrily was doing lesser because Merrily lost the energy regen, so less weapon skill spamming, and then Talin lost the HP a lot faster, so she had to die and then revive, and that stopped her ultimate channeling. Okay, so I'm gonna test 2 more comps. Okay, so one without Fresto and one without one without Reina, I guess, just to test things out. So for Skalita's case, I mean for Freyasto's case, the other replacement I can think of is Torrent, but we will be losing way too much stats. So what I would say is use Corin in this place. Because, right, for Corin's case, Corin fills up the factional bonus as well, and Corin deals true damage, so Corin could fill up the void in terms of doing damage. And for this run itself, Corin is also able to shield up the weaker ally, which is Talin or even Smokey, in case they get low from the boss's attack. So we have the heals from Talin, from Smokey, we have the shield from Corin, and we should survive decently well. So I guess the peak of our damage output depends on how fast we can kill off the summons. Although there's also a little bit of RNG factor in terms of where the summons are summoned. So if let's say they are in the AoE of Talin's ultimate, they get burned down pretty fast. So right here, Talin is not dying. So I guess Corin is also a decent replacement in the event you don't have Freyasto. Okay, so Corin is pretty good. We are hitting 39.6 billion, so 40 billion as well, close to that number. So we ain't able to beat our 42 billion pick, but this is the damage distribution. Okay. So one more this time around without Reina. So we're gonna remove Reina, and the one more unit I kind of want to try is Skalita, I guess. So we will see the damage range with and without certain units. So no Freyasto and no Reina. So we just go the full Celestial side. So this time around we are losing the damage boost from Reina, but we are gaining haste buff as well as a damage buff from Skalita. So we shall see whether or not that will make up for the difference. Okay, seems like the haste is actually a lot better. Okay, so one of the reasons why Skalita has become really strong in Endless Dream Realm is because of the Heart of Unity buff, buffing haste and damage output. So in the later part of the game, right, in the end game state of the game, the units all hit really hard. So damage boost on the unit actually makes them a lot stronger, making Skalita quite invaluable. So right here we are doing 40 billion, and this shows us that we need not actually need Reina in the endless state. So 40 bill, pretty good. Okay, so Skalita does the buffing job pretty well as well. And I think Skalita does a better job in terms of removing the summons compared to Reina. So that's that 40 build. But we didn't beat our 42 build. So for those of you guys who are wondering how this was done, we're going to go through the replay. So this is the sharing part. So this is with Skalita, with Reina, as well as the Freyasto. So this one is without Talin. So for this comp, our dear Skalita over here did a uber powerful landing that just killed off the minions so quickly, right, that we can continue our assault. So I'll say Skalita is slightly RNG based, because depending on how she lands, depending on whether or not she procs her skill to send the summons out ASAP, her role of removing the summon might be slowed down, might be affected by RNG. So you guys can see, right, she is in charge of just sending the summons out ASAP and then buffing the team with a Heart of Unity skill as well as a factional bonus. So we broke the 40 build mark. Smokey died, Skalita died, but the other units are still alive. So no more laser, and then our unit just stands still and continue to deliver damage. So that's where we got the 42 build. There is a little bit of RNG there, but I guess this is the pick, right? There is a possibility that the Talin team could be a little bit better if we throw her in maybe one more time just to see whether or not we can get better RNG. So this boss is quite RNG reliant. So we're just gonna put Freyasto here, put energy regen, put this one, and then we put Reina here, I guess. Okay, so same team setup with the very first one. We just see whether or not we can get better damage if we get better RNG. So this boss can be quite RNG based because of the final laser attack, and also where the summon comes about, because like I mentioned earlier, it affects how fast you kill them and then how fast your damage will pick. Okay, burn damage. Okay, so right here the ultimate is not hitting the one at the corner, unfortunately, but still it's still running and it's still burning the boss, so it's good. So now we are close to the 20-second mark. Let's see whether or not we can break through. Okay, so our unit survive, so we are able to probably burn through more damage. 37, 38. I think it's 40 billion mark. Yeah, maybe 41 billion. Oh no, the summon came in, unfortunately. Okay, so pretty unfortunate 39 build. So I guess like the Skalita probably is still the strongest team, right? But if you don't have Skalita, you can use Talin for this boss. Okay, so that's the testing that we have done, and I guess that's it. Is Talin meta here? I guess probably not. At least not in the endless mode. Maybe pre-endless, she could perform better, right? Because like I mentioned earlier, Skalita was in charge of amplifying everybody's damage as well, where Talin wasn't able to do. So in the pre-endless mode, Skalita can also amplify your whole team's damage, but at the same time, the amplification is not as much. So then, pre-endless, I think Talin is better. Endless mode, I guess Talin is probably a little bit worse, but still usable if you have her. So that's it, right? 40 billion, not a bad score, not the best, but not a bad one. So these are just a few testing for you guys, and thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you guys again in more videos tomorrow. Bye guys!